In this video, we're going to be talking about something that we don't talk too much about on this channel, which is sniper support weapons. And we're going to be going over what are the 5 best sniper support options currently inside Warzone, as we've been asked a lot of questions about this. So if you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons and overall tips and tricks for Warzone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. We're very close to hitting that goal. And also click the link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra gameplay content over there as well, and we do cover a lot of rebirth content on that channel too, so make sure you subscribe over there. But like I said, this video is all about the sniper supports, and what I want to do first is I want to quickly break down what makes a good sniper support weapon. So first of all, the best thing about sniper support weapons is having a good close range TTK. Now, of course, that is one of the key things about SMGs, is obviously you want really fast TTKs, because you're going to be challenging a lot of your gunfights at those closer ranges, but you won't get as good TTKs with a sniper support weapon, because you also need to balance that out with a decent long range TTK. Now, the long range TTK isn't as important as your close range TTK with a sniper support, because we are mainly focusing on using your sniper at those extremely long ranges. But the main reason why I still want to look at those kind of long range TTKs is because if you do need to finish off an opponent at those longer distances, let's say you've ran out of sniper ammo or you've downed an opponent, you want to finish them off, then you need to whip out your secondary weapon and finish your opponent off with your sniper support. On top of that, movement is really important. Now, this is going to rule out a lot of the Modern Warfare guns entirely automatically, because they just don't have really good movement. I mean, Cold War LMGs have better movement than Modern Warfare assault rifles, so that's pretty much a kind of baseline to judge it from. Then we're looking at low recoil as well, because you need to be hitting those shots at long ranges to make sure that you can kind of compensate if you miss shots with your sniper rifle. And then lastly, clean iron sights is an absolute bonus if you get that with a sniper support weapon, because not having to use all those attachment slots up allows you to use it for something like reducing your recoil or giving you a faster movement speed. With all of that out of the way now, let's take a look at some TTK values. Now, we've got some of the contenders for the 5 best sniper supports: Cold War AK, FFAR, which I will discuss with you in a moment, the FARA, the XM4, the BULLFROG, the Milano, and then the MAC-10. But like I said, all the guns are listed here with their TTKs. And what we can see here is that the Cold War AK-47 at close range has a really good TTK. Now, what also has a really good TTK is the FFAR, because as you can see, they have the exact same TTK at this close range at 600 milliseconds, which is extremely quick, especially in the meta now. As you can see, is better than the MAC-10 at close range. So the MAC-10 kills in 658, so it's about 58 milliseconds quicker than the MAC-10 at close range, which is really good. And then, as you can see, at longer ranges, the FFAR actually performs a little bit better than the Cold War AK. And the FARA is probably the next best weapon here at TTKs at 608 milliseconds. And then at those longer ranges, it performs pretty well too. We've also got the BULLFROG, which surprisingly has a pretty decent TTK. Then we've got the MAC-10, then the XM4, and of course, the Milano at the end there. Now, as you can see, this is all chest shot TTK. Next up, what we have here is the extremity shots. Now, this is also important. And as you can see, the FARA, the AK-47, and the FFAR all perform the best once again, because they do have that 556 damage profile, so nothing really changes. They kind of do the same damage across every part of the body besides headshots and maybe the neck shots as well. And as you see, the XM4 performs pretty well too. Then we've got the Milano, surprisingly. Then we've got the MAC-10, and then the BULLFROG doesn't do so well with those extremity shots. Now what I want to do is switch it over into that neck shot, because headshots are pretty difficult to land on most guns, especially if you're intentionally looking for a headshot. You might get 1 or 2, but neck shots, if you're aiming for the upper chest, you're more than likely to land a couple of neck shots in there. That's pretty easy to do. So as you can see, the XM4 performs extremely well in neck shots, and this is why this gun feels super good, especially if you're running it as sniper support. Then we've got the Cold War AK, which has obviously been really consistent, the FFAR, which again has been really consistent, the FARA because it is an assault rifle, then the BULLFROG, then the MAC-10, then the Milano. So let's narrow this down to 5, and we'll do it on the True Game Data website, then I'll give you some builds for all of these guns. So the Cold War AKs performed extremely well for pretty much all of the damage profiles. So the Cold War AK has to stay. The FFAR performs extremely well as well. Now this gun has actually had a recoil reduction buff. Now if you've used the FFAR before, you could tell that the recoil is insanely high, but if you use the correct attachments on this gun, the recoil is actually not that bad on this gun anymore, and I feel like they have buffed this gun recently, so you can use the FFAR as sniper support, and a very good one at that. Then you've got the FARA, the XM4, and out of these weapons down here, so these are all the SMG options. Now, of course, you want to choose a low recoil SMG like I mentioned at the start of this video. So we're really looking at between the Milano and the BULLFROG. The MAC-10 has a little bit more recoil than we would like, to be completely honest, because you're not really going to be hitting your shots at, let's say, 30 meters. So the MAC-10 has to go. Now, the Milano in terms of TTK is just terrible now. It used to be in a good spot where it was a really good sniper support. Considering the TTK on it is not very good. So now we're going to rank all of these guns from 5 to 1, with 5 being the worst and 1 being the best sniper support weapon. And at number 5, we have the FARA. Now, the reason why I put the FARA at number 5 is because the movement isn't quite as good as some of the other guns, because they did nerf it a bit. On top of that, it doesn't have the best iron sights, but I would still recommend using the iron sights of this gun because it is okay to use. So for the muzzle, I would still stick to the GRU suppressor in this case, because the recoil on the FARA is a bit weird still. It has a bit of a weird like left and then right recoil. So I would still use the GRU suppressor because this is the only attachment that's really going to help us much with the recoil. Then you want to choose the Liberator barrel. Now this is going to be like a reoccurring theme when it comes to the assault rifles for Cold War weapons. You don't want to use that last barrel because it hurts your ADS. You want to choose the Liberator or the Ranger barrel because it's going to give you no penalty to your aim down sight time. Then you do want to choose the 60 round mag still. This gun does have a really fast fire rate, so this is the only one I would still recommend using the 60 round mags on. And then you do want to choose the Serpent Wrap for the faster ADS time. And lastly, I would go for the skeletal stock. You can choose the Tiger Team Spotlight, but personally I feel like the skeletal stock works a little bit better. And I would still choose the Serpent Wrap to compensate for the 60 round mags, as well as that GRU suppressor. Next up, we have the only SMG on this list, and that is the BULLFROG. Now, the BULLFROG has really low recoil, making it very easy to use as sniper support, even if you're trying to hit shots at those long ranges. Now, you're not going to get that time to kill potential, of course, but you will be still hitting your shots at least. And if you have a MAC-10 or you have anything else like an OTS, for example, that mid-range is really going to be missing if you use one of those guns, whereas with the BULLFROG, you get clean iron sights and you still will be able to hit your shots. Now, the only difference I would make to the BULLFROG from the SMG build that I use pretty much all the time, you still want to use the GRU suppressor, you do want the sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and to be honest, you still want the task force barrel as well, because this is the only thing that's going to give you bullet velocity as well as damage range, plus it gives you strafe speed as well. It does con your recoil a little bit, but with the BULLFROG, it pretty much has no recoil, so you can still use this barrel and do well as sniper support. Then I would actually go for the 65 round mags this time. Now, usually in my SMG build, I stay away from any mag options on the BULLFROG because 50 rounds is more than enough at close range, especially because you will be landing more shots at close range because you're literally point blank. Whereas you do want those extra bullets at those longer distances, so that's why I would choose the 65 round. I would still go for the skeletal stock because you do want that movement speed. Like I said, this is one of the main factors in a sniper support weapon. And then for the last attachment, you can kind of choose what you want here, really. Now, you can choose an underbarrel to help you control the recoil if that you feel that you need that. But personally, I would still go for the Serpent Wrap. So the only thing I've changed from my SMG build on the BULLFROG is adding that 65 round mags instead of having the Bruiser grip on there. At number 3, we have a gun that I feel like is one of the most consistent sniper support weapons. And for the longest time, I thought it was the best option, but after I played more and more with it, there is slightly better options in my opinion. But when it comes to the overall build, the build that I was using and I think still works great till now is the regular suppressor. I don't choose any barrel at all. I do go for the 45 round mags. I do go for the Serpent Grip as well. I also go for the skeletal stock. That's going to give you the strafe speeds, the sprint to fire, all that kind of good stuff. The Serpent Grip is needed for the AK-47. It has a really slow ADS. The 45 round mags, you do need a bigger mag, but you don't need anything bigger than 45 rounds. I think the 45 rounds on the Cold War AK is more than enough. Then for the last attachment, there's only 2 options that you should be picking here. Now, one is the Microflex LED. If you do not like the iron sights in the Cold War AK, I absolutely understand because they're actually horrendous. You cannot see anything past these iron sights. The optic's probably the one that most people would actually go for because it kind of makes the most sense. I like to struggle a little bit and lose my enemies because I'm an idiot, but I think the foregrip is actually a really good option when it comes to the Cold War AK-47. You get no cons, and you do get that bit of recoil control that you do need. And if you don't mind trying out the iron sights on this gun, which is pretty difficult to do by the way, then make sure you try the foregrip. I think this build's a great build when it comes to the Cold War AK-47, especially the sniper support. But like I said, if you need the optic, you can choose that too. At number 2, we have a gun that was the best gun to use in Season 2, and now it's just came back from the dead in my opinion, especially as a sniper support. This is like the best, probably sniper support gun besides one other weapon in my opinion, and I think it's a really strong battle for number 2 and number 1. In my opinion, I think number 1 is just my personal favorite. But this gun, as you've seen in the TTK charts, has a very consistent time to kill at close range and has even better TTKs at those longer ranges compared to the Cold War AK. It also has super clean iron sights if you take this blueprint that you get with the battle pass. Even if you don't do that, it still has better iron sights than the Cold War AK and even what's at number 1 as well. But you also get really good movement, especially if you use that Raider stock. So if you do use the Raider stock, you get good movement with this gun. For the barrel, you do want to choose the Ranger barrel. Now you do need a little bit of recoil control with this weapon because it still has not the best recoil, but this barrel definitely helps out a bit with the recoil. Now if you think back to what they actually nerfed with the FFAR, it was mainly the ADS times, and that's why you want to go for the regular suppressor because it's not going to con your ADS all that much, or if anything at all. Then you do want to go for the STANAG 50 round mags because you do need it. This gun's got a really fast fire rate. You're going to be burning through ammo really quickly. And then lastly, I would go for that serpent wrap once again as well. And like I said, all of this is to compensate for that ADS time while still getting some recoil controlling benefits from the Ranger barrel. And this is actually one of the best sniper support weapons in the entire game. And at number 1, we have the XM4. Now the XM4 iron sights are not the best, but to be honest, you can actually get away with using the iron sights in the XM4, and I don't think they're as bad as people make them out to be. But this build for the XM4 is literally the best build in my opinion when it comes to using this weapon as sniper support. And on top of that, if you want to run like a double SMG build for Rebirth, for example, this is exactly what I use this XM4 build for, because I don't really like using snipers to be completely honest, but when I'm playing Rebirth, I like to have guns that feel like SMGs. I can move really quick, have good TTK values, and that neck shot multiplier on this gun just makes this gun absolutely insane. Now for the suppressor, you do want to choose the regular suppressor. It doesn't give you any cons to ADS and all that kind of stuff, but you do get the bullet velocity, you do get the sound suppression, so you do want to take the regular suppressor. I don't go for any barrel whatsoever because you don't really need it. This gun doesn't have like insane recoil or anything like that. You can manage the recoil at those medium distances. I go for the 45 round mags because I think that's more than enough. This gun doesn't have like the fastest fire rate, but it does have a pretty decent fire rate, and 45 round mags is more than enough to down 2 players if you land all your shots. Then I would go for the serpent grip, and that's for the faster ADS time, which I do think is really important. And this could be, like I said, a SMG build for the XM4 as well. So if you want to run it as an SMG, you can do that too. You obviously want to go for that Raider stock. The Raider stock is like one of the best attachments for the XM4. If you're using an XM4 build without the Raider stock on it, you're using it wrong basically. And then for the last attachment, you can go for the Ranger barrel for the extra range if you do need that and a bit of recoil control, which is probably the more sensible option. But personally, I'll go for that Tiger Tooth Spotlight because I need the movement. And this is an awesome build for sniper support. It's literally my favorite go-to gun, like I said, for Rebirth. So if you're looking for a gun that's like a double SMG, like I said, or the best sniper support, I think the XM4 is up there. That neck damage multiplier means that you're killing enemies super quick, even if you don't hit headshots. So there we have it. Those are the 5 best weapons for sniper support inside Warzone. Like I said, you can use these guns as double SMGs inside Rebirth, for example, if you want to run like an assault rifle and an SMG. But mainly these are going to be for people who like to run sniper rifles. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra content over there. And thank you very much for watching.